Hello, everybody. Welcome to Whiskey Nose. I'm Marty. What a great night we got ahead, man. We got Aaron Chepanik from Smoke Wagon coming on. It's going to be a lot of fun. We got a lot of questions lined up, and hopefully get everybody involved in those questions in the chat. And I may post the link here later on and let you we'll see how things go and jump on and ask your own questions. But without further ado, I don't want to keep the man that knows how to live life waiting any longer than I already have. Everybody, welcome Aaron Chepanik.
Hey, what's going on? How you doing?
Oh man, I'm so good. I got to sit on my hands so I don't wave at everybody. How are you,
They
buddy?
won't mind you
No,
waving at them.
it's what I do, man. It's what I do. So how you been, man? You been wearing it out?
Yeah, it's been crazy. Everything's crazy. It's all good though. It's still fun, and it's been cool because I had so many. Uh, well, let me step back for a second. Because so much of the brand happened like when everything was shut down during COVID. And so I it was like a year and a half where I couldn't do events, I couldn't do dinners, things like that. And so the past month or so, and then leading up into the holidays, there's just so much traveling, and it's cool, to get out and meet people, and it's been a lot of fun, and also, still dealing with everything we're dealing with as we blow up, and then trying to get this new space underway so I can finally start doing tours and things like that and improve production. But it's cool, there's definitely of all the stuff I've been through, this is the easiest to deal with.
It's been a ride. There's no doubt. That's something Since I think you brought it up there for a second. I want to jump into it because I know from the consumer end and the whiskey tube end how great and how fast Smoke Wagon is smoking. And I know that I think maybe a year and a half ago, I think the distillery invested into a property next door or somewhere
Oh,
close.
the property next door we bought a few years, but nothing's happened with it,
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
I didn't know if you were already got barrels there or what you had going with it.
I
But
have empty barrels there. We
well,
have a
hey,
lot of empty barrels over there.
good. That means they're right here. That means
Yeah,
they're here.
we go through so many now. So basically, I mean, it was crazy. One of the crazy stories of on top of all so, but by this point, so many things have happened where I thought my life was being destroyed, and then it ended up being for the best. That it was good, and so the development of this property next door, it was taking forever. And then we got the steel building that we were going to build, and they engineered it wrong. They basically engineered it as a storage shed, so you couldn't have any insulation or anything like that. And this is Las Vegas. You can't have air conditioning without insulation. So, and then a guy from the city that we deal with all the time said, "Hey, just so you know, this property is probably going to be condemned when they expand the freeway." But we had nothing invested into it. And they said, you should really check out this other piece of property that we had previously done eminent domain on for a different freeway expansion. And we didn't using, they thought they were going to put like on ramps through it and things like that. And they really didn't use a lot of it. They only used enough to do an easement to create 150-foot right-of-way separation that wouldn't have been there before, that separates us from other bars and restaurants, churches and schools, that allows us to have any licensing. But that's just another one another one of the things. But so this was, I don't remember when it was. It was this time last year. And
Yeah.
it went to auction, but it was an online auction, and nobody registered to bid for this property, and it fell out of auction, and the city sold it to us for terms. I know it's kind of it's not the most exciting story,
No,
but
but it's good. No, I
yeah,
asked.
it's crazy. So it's like 4.5 acres in this amazing part of town,
Yeah.
and we're in like a really bad, not really bad, but a very kind of bad part of town. and definitely not aesthetically pleasing part of town. And it just is amazing how it worked out. And so that is where we're going to do the updated bottling facility, where we won't be able to do like alcohol sales in the beginning, but we'll be able to do tours right away and things like that. So it's going to be cool.
So right now, I guess there's no, like you said, there's really no outside people, no touring, nothing like that going on yet. Is that right?
There's barely room
Within,
for
I mean,
me in
within
there
the
anymore.
distillery at all. I
Yeah.
mean,
It's just too crazy. Well, for one, we're not supposed to, because we don't have a tasting room license. We weren't approved for one in that location, so legally we're not supposed to do it. But but also there's just no room. It's just too small of a space, and it's too crazy. I mean, I used to do videos all the time, and I just can't. It's too hard.
yeah.
Because it's too loud and there's no room for me most of the time. I'm in the
Well,
way.
but I'll tell you this, man, the Instagram that you're doing with the blending and the tasting and the oh dude, that's awesome. That's
Oh, thank
that's
you.
that's that's where I get the I was giving you a hard time there about the man that knows how to live life, because if you've not been on his Instagram, you're missing out. I'm just telling you guys.
The personal one, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it's very
awesome.
edited. I mean, it's not like
no, it's freaking awesome, dude. I love it. I crack up, man. I was like, this is so cool. This guy knows how to live. It's fun, man. It's fun to watch. Hey,
Well,
Aaron, let me go ahead, buddy. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and like for the bourbon Instagram or distillery Instagram, I separated the vodka from the bourbon. They all used to be on the same page.
Yeah.
But and that was one of the things, is like every day, even in the beginning when I was doing everything by myself and it was all very hard, it was awesome and it was fun and everything was so fun. And the two things that I really didn't understand that I saw coming from like other suppliers is one, the lying, like the bullshit in the industry, which I always try to like talk. I haven't really done videos like that in a while, but because it's not really necessary. The consumer is much more educated now than they were like even 4 years ago, And the other thing is, man, they make it seem like we've lost 3 employees today alone, bringing you the best bourbon every day. We kill ourselves for you, and I'm just like this. I don't know. I'm having fun doing it. I feel lucky. I don't feel like I'm killing myself. I'm having a good time.
Yeah, it's just the bullshit side, man. That's just it's everywhere, I'm sure. So let me ask you: was it when you started the whiskey side? Was that around 2011? When
Yes.
did that click for Aaron on the whiskey side?
It really started in 2010.
Okay.
Like kind of. It was funny. I was going back and looking at emails trying to find out like pricing that we originally paid for like vodka bottles, and the bourbon was right on its heels. And then when I go back and look at pictures, we rented our space in 2010, and by 2011, we had the fermenters. The original goal was to do everything from scratch. We had the mash cooker and the fermenters and all that. And by that point, I had learned that nobody distills vodka from scratch. I mean, you got to own the farm to do it. It's crazy. It's like, and you need 100-foot column still, because there's no way to get truly neutral vodka without gravity. You can't do it through heat distillation. You need the gravity because only alcohol and water is going to be light enough to get to the top. And so I was like, oh, well, we're going to do it from neutral grain spirits. So all the fermenters and mash cooker and all that was for the bourbon. And so that was like 2011.
So are you still into vodka at all now?
It's funny because now that the vodka is like picking up steam, people are like, oh, new vodka from Smoke Wagon. It's like the vodka is how it all started. I designed the bottle for the vodka and everything. And when Jonathan, my business partner, and I started this process, that's all we drank, man. That's all those were crazy days.
Russian Diamond vodka. I think
Yes,
some reason
that's
that rings a bell for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the official vodka of the Kremlin. I mean, it was like you gotta remember too, like 2008. I mean, what kind of bourbon? It's like uh, I don't even think Sazerac was pushing the rye in 2008. I mean, there was not a lot of stuff, and vodka was everywhere. I would say 3/4 of our glass. People like premium brown spirit, like it was still Johnny Walker Blue was like, if somebody was going to get a premium brown spirit, they were like, give me Johnny Walker Blue. And then they'd shoot it, like, it's like, okay, I don't understand that. And Scotch, Scotch, it was like Scotch was the
Yeah.
thing. Like bourbon was not really
Not
looked
back
at.
yet. Yeah.
Yeah. And, I'd say 3/4 of the glasses we had were martini glasses because everybody was drinking, Cosmos and Washington um, apple martinis and stuff like that. And I was just drinking vodka on the rocks as many as, as many
Hey, it
as I
is
could
what it
get my
is, man.
hands on.
That's it, man. If it's a
Yeah.
love, it's a love. So here's a off the wall because I'm ADD and this is just how it happens. The whiskey that you like to go to outside Smoke Wagon.
Well,
Is there something is there something that Aaron has all the time just to mix it up, or is it just
oh,
I'm
not
doing my thing?
anymore. I just don't have the time. It's like, because it's like a lot of the times, especially we're doing so many batches of a cut a month now, and so it's like a third of the month I've got to do tasting notes on Instagram for Uncut, and then like sometimes I just I kind of want to see how everything else tastes, and so there just isn't enough time. I will tell you that Four Roses single barrel. I used to drink Four Roses single barrel and Michter's Rye when Michter's Rye was 3 years old. I really liked it. Oh, you're frozen. I hope it's not me. Did I lose connection? I'm frozen.
There, guys, you there? Are we back? Can y'all hear me? Everybody, can anybody hear me? Good Lord. Can anybody hear me now? How about now?
Oh,
Can you hear me? I don't know
I
what's
can't
going
hear you,
on,
but I
man.
see you. I see you now.
Yeah. How about now? Can you hear me?
Can
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, I can hear you. I don't know what's going on, man. It's the internet, and we've had storms all day. So y'all bear with me. How about now? Can you hear me or see me? Baller says yes. Aaron, can you hear me? Yes, can
All
hear you
right.
both. Okay. I got you, Aaron. You got me?
Oh,
You
I can
there?
almost see. There you go.
Okay. All right.
All
I
right.
think we're back. Sorry about that. I don't know what the hell, man. It's crazy. It's just that's my life right there. Thank you, Wi-Fi. But no, hell, I forgot what you were even saying before you got cut off. But we were talking about
No,
Four Roses and
we were
stuff
talking
like
about
that.
vodka and
Yeah,
which probably nobody cares about.
I know. My wife's got plenty over here, so no, she knows. She knows. So no, it's everybody loves something. So it's
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with vodka.
I
There's
used to love it,
absolutely.
I totally loved it. I mean, and it's hard because bourbon is a living, ever evolving sort of entity. Every barrel's different. I got to figure out the blends. The blends are always changing, whether it's uncut, and I don't care if it's consistent or not, or if I'm trying to get small batch and the entry level straight to taste the same. But the vodka, man, you dial in the still and you dial in your boiler and that's it. It's
Let her
like, hey,
ride, baby.
yeah,
You let
there's
it
nothing
ride.
really going on anymore. You just flip a lever and it tastes exactly how I want it to taste,
It's
which is like
awesome.
which is pretty neutral. It's like it's funny because like when you talk about bourbon now, like I think when I are um in the beginning, small batch said like smooth at the same time, smooth and bold, but yet bold and intense or something like that. Now smooth, you don't want to say smooth. Nobody wants to hear it. Smooth means like one dimensional and
Yeah.
and like
Once and gone.
easy,
Yeah.
yeah. And so, but vodka, like, yeah, smooth, man, it's smooth. It doesn't take you'll think you're drinking water, because people drink
Shit.
vodka, nobody's sipping it, picking out flavors the way you do with bourbon.
Well, talking about your the whiskey side, I think is one of the things that for Smoke Wagon, I think is it small batch that is like 35, 36% rye. Is that
That
correct?
that's they're all 36% rye.
Okay.
Um yeah, maybe that's what I was talking about. That I used to drink Michter's rye and Four Roses, single barrel, and Four Roses was 35%. I really like that rye, and the bourbon went to MGP. They said we have 36%.
Like it was a damn threat, you
Yeah,
know.
it's like, you like that 35. Wait till you try our 36.
I'll show you.
Yeah.
So I think when it comes to the this time of year with the temperatures, in where I'm in the east, I'm in northeast Tennessee, and we're today's first day of fall, and the temperatures are slowly starting to come down. You can, to me now, you can take the small batch and now go neat with it,
Oh yeah.
because the heat and everything, and a lot of
Wait.
people.
What part of Tennessee? Where in
I'm
Northeast, like Knoxville, and
I am an hour and 20 minutes north of Knoxville,
okay,
northeast in Kingsport, Tennessee.
all right.
So I grew up in Bristol, Virginia, Tennessee, where the racetrack is, which is about
I
30
never made
40
it that
minutes.
far north. I was born in Willem, and then I spent a summer working near Fontana in my early
Yeah,
20s, and we used to go over to Knoxville.
yeah,
That was a long time ago.
yeah. I'm a big UT fan, so we're down there for football games. So that probably dropped me about 30 subs real quick. But hey, that's the way it works. I don't care. I love my Vols. So, but hey, everybody, like my dad says, everybody's got to be somewhere. So, I might as well be in Knoxville on a football Saturday. But yeah, I don't know, man. But no, dude, I just the small batch I think is my favorite. So
When I
of
used
what
to
I've had.
do, um, yeah, I mean, because look, everybody, I mean, obviously, uncut is the darling. That's the one that everybody's like always lusting after and everything. But when I used to be doing all the tastings and all all the events and everything, and small batch was always the crowd favorite for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and then the
go ahead.
$30 one, that's the entry level, and that yeah, so they're all three of them are 36% rye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
92.5 proof on the
Yes.
straight.
So that's about as low as you can get without. I mean, you don't have to chill filter it if you go lower, but you just run in the risk of it flocking if it gets below 35 degrees. And so, if anybody that doesn't know, when you chill filter something, moving the lipid esters are amazing. They would give it that creamy mouthfeel and all that oiliness and insulate your palate from the heat and give it that nice texture. And so, if you bring the proof down too low, those are all fats. And so they will solidify if they get cold, and it kind of gets all cloud like there's two ways it look. Like if you do it in a glass with ice, it just kind of gets this iridescent sheen to it, but in a bottle, it'll look like snowflakes. And so yeah, 92. They told me 92 was the lowest. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna risk it. We'll go 92.5.
Just yeah, make sure
Just to
it's right. Make sure it's right. Yeah, dude, it's freaking awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that was the recent one. That was people are like, what are you gonna do next? You gonna do some crazy quadruple finished? I was like, no, I just want to do like a affordable entry level bourbon, that everybody can enjoy. That you don't have to think about it, and you can just drink it and have a good time, and not have to necessarily pick out flavors, and it won't break the bank.
when you were getting into these blends, and you're trying to figure out, okay, this is the one. How long does that process take for you?
Like at the
when you
beginning or
yeah,
now,
when
or
in the beginning, when you said, okay, this is it.
uncut would take days. When I started doing uncut, it would take me days to figure out. I would fry my palate and have to come back the next day and keep working on it because I didn't really understand like the process. Small batch was always a little easier because water is the great equalizer. You add water, it gets rid of water hides everything. It'll get rid of the oak, it'll get rid of youth, and so that was easier. But uncut, like just trying to dial in that finish, and all I knew in the beginning was I like rye spice and I like the creamy caramel. Let's put them together, and because rye ages much faster than corn. And when we had the fire that we originally bought was so long to get over,
Yeah.
then somebody wants to know about the later batch.
Yeah, DC's asking if you could talk about that for a second.
Sure. So that was like, so the first three, the batch number one, even though it came out on its own, and caramel yum yum juice, and the only 5-year. I'm trying to think what else. There was another one. Those all were done back in March. We bottled all of them at the same time, March 2020. And we were like nothing in March of 2020. That was like we had just gotten to Illinois. We were just getting into Colorado. And by the way, by April 2020, it was like we had an understanding of what was going to happen because of all those initial orders and the new markets we were getting into. And yeah, now in hindsight, I'm like, oh, Rare and Limited, that was kind of like a dick move. But that was like right after Desert Jewel had run out. And people are like, can I get some more Desert Jewel? I'm like, no, it's limited. It says on the back. It's limited. I was like, next time I'm putting it on the front label. So, but oh yeah, special batch, small batch. That was the other one, but I never released it because of how the hype and how everything blew up. And I was like, well, man, special batch small batch was supposed to be cheaper than regular small batch because it's 75% 4-year. That small batch has way more old juice than that. And so I was like, it's not going to sell. So that's why I just kind of did it as like giveaways and charity events and that. And then the WC elevator batch, I was going to call it this batch is terrible batch, but that was a total team uncut blend. We had just finally got access to our older barrels. They were in warehouse C, which was one of the first warehouses that Seagram's built in 1932. And the elevator, when it broke, they had to get the parts fabricated to fix it. And so all of our stuff was on the 4th and 5th floor and they couldn't bring it down. And oh man, all the haters were like, oh, that's it for Smoke Wagon. They don't have any more old barrels. It's all young juice now. Oh, this is bullshit. There's no WC elevator. It's like, man, well, you guys obviously have you're outsiders because they're freaking out over at MGP trying to get this elevator fixed. I mean, it took months and it was a lot of stress for everyone. And then when I finally got my barrels, it had taken so long. They were 9 years old, and I was really excited. And I was like, I was so happy to have those barrels again. And I was like, I'm just gonna do a dream. And then also I had these palletized 6 barrels. And the thing I don't palletized barrels, besides how they look, is because they're top filled, they don't have the bung on the side, is you can't predict how they're going to age because they're all stacked. And so I don't know if I'm getting some bottom of the stack or the stack, but these ones had very high proof, but tons of loss. And so they were expensive as well. And I was like, but I want to bump up the proof with these. So I
Yeah.
just used all that 9 year, those 6 years, and some other things just to kind of do like a dream, because I wouldn't be able to, you got to realize that uncut's supposed to sell for, I don't know, there's no MSRP in this industry, but like around $65, that would
Yeah.
be, and there's no way I could do this for that. And then I just called it the WC elevator batch as a fuck you to the haters because, you don't have any 9-year. Yes, I do. It's right in this bottle, and we're gonna call it the elevator batch.
Well, yeah, I've had a sample of it, and I wish I had about 60 more samples of it. So it's not shit. I mean, it's very,
you.
very good. I'm just like you said. Oh hell no, it's really good. A dear friend of the whiskey community, the whiskey friend has a question. Smoke Wagon ever coming to the UK?
Oh, sure, absolutely. But all these things have to wait until we move to our new location because we're just maxed out as far as what we. I mean, we could do double shifts and bottle more. There's just no place to put it, and I can't store the barrels. I can only store about 120 barrels at a time, and each run that we of each expression is about 80 to 90 barrels, and so it's just I can't time it right. It's already tough because I'm already trying to plan the blend out in my head and then pull, when I pull my inventory, I'm like, it's a truck, and so I'm like, okay, I think that this small batch should be this and this, and if it shows up and it doesn't work out the way I want and I'm short on anything, I kind of have to, it slows things down, so we just can't do anymore. It would be stressful. I mean, I'm sure but it wouldn't be fun, and so it's got to wait until we get new space, get that fully automated bottling line.
Well, I mean, I remember you saying somewhere I saw you do a video or something talking about, and you may still do a lot of it, but you did a lot of the bottling yourself.
Oh, in the beginning, yeah. No, I don't do any of that now. I do not bottle.
I mean, hellfire. I mean, so but when did
by the way, it wasn't that long ago. It was February of 2020 where I was doing everything myself.
Yeah.
I had one employee and he quit December of 2019. And then I came back from holiday vacation in January, and usually like January and February, like kind of chill. I mean, I only had a few years and it was not chill. It was nuts. And I was like, this is it, man. I can't do this anymore. I'm like, because there was too much going on. I used to like it. I used to like get in there, after coming from the bar business and being surrounded by people all the time. Nice to be in there by myself, listen to music, but then I just had so many other things to do for the distillery that
it got to be too much.
Yeah, it was stressing me out.
So I tell you, one of the things that's really, really interesting, and it brings a level of craftsmanship and dedication and time from Smoke Wagon are the labels, the written labels.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, that's so cool, man. This is January 16, batch 39 I've got here.
So, what, January of 2021?
Yeah.
And which 39, and we're already like 100? Yeah. It's nuts. Yeah, I mean, when we move, the batches will probably be like, right now they're 2,500 pounds a batch, which is about 350 gallons, and I'll probably end up doing like 10,000 pounds at a time, just so that because it's getting kind of ridiculous doing 10 batches a month, you know. I mean, it's cool for me. I like it because I get to go in there, you know, even if we're doing 5 batches exact finish blend, it doesn't matter when you don't add water, they're different, even if all the ratios are the same. And usually we can only do about 3 or 4, but we have to refill the tanks with barrel dumps, and so it changes again. So for me, great. I love it. I'm always in there, like, you know, when it's uncut, I love it, man. I love figuring out the blends and trying it and everything, but I'm sure for the consumer, it's a little frustrating, like, because, you know, one batch is only, you know, 16 to 1700 bottles, and it went to one state and they didn't get it in their state. So if we do them bigger, then like more states will kind of sort of get the same thing, and it won't, you know.
But ADHD Matt Porter has a question. Can you ask Aaron what it would take for the world's top whiskey taster to come to Vegas, blend an uncut, unfiltered with him for the people? Well, Matt, I hate to tell you, but I've already worked that out for me. So you'll have to get in line, or you can go with me maybe. But no, that would be awesome. That'd be a cool blend right there, buddy.
All those things you gotta wait till we move. It's just you know, it's even like people are like, oh, would you do barrel picks? I'm like, I couldn't even do a barrel pick if I had the barrels right now, because I couldn't shut down production of the core products to squeeze it in. You know, we're just
it's just, I don't know, dude. And the bottles, I know you're sick and tired of talking about these gorgeous bottles.
I'm never sick and tired of talking about these
telling
bottles.
you, dude, they're the prettiest bottles in the industry.
There's
no doubt. And you know, I know about you got the state of Nevada and the 6 shooters, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Those are smoke wagons. So smoke wagon was slang for the Colt Army revolver, the West.
And it was something about, if you look down the barrel, I think it looked like a wagon.
Yeah, if you're down the wrong end and firing, it looks like a wagon wheel is where the cylinder.
Yeah, I mean, that's just so. Can you talk a little bit how you came up with this design? How you know, how long did it take? And then when you finally got that bottle in your hand, you were like, that's it. This is the one.
So it was cool. So it started with the vodka bottle, because we got permission from the Treasury to doing the replica of the Morgan Silver Dollar. It was public domain, and the vodka is called Silver Dollar vodka. And I really, so here you go. We've got the straight bottle. This is a Holly heavy bottom bottle. This is a very common bottle. It's used a lot. And coming from the bar business, I love this bottle because it's, you know, for the bartenders, it's got a great handle, put a pour spout in it. And because of its size, it never gets turned sideways. You know, everybody turns these, they get these flat bottles and they think they're going to take up real estate, and they don't. They get turned sideways, you know? And so I really had the vision of that bottle with that coin in the front. And so they told me it couldn't be done. They said it'll be a contact point on the assembly line. And I was like, well, I'll figure it out. And so I bought this 3D program that I'd used to design the bars called SketchUp, and I built a 3D model of it, and I just moved the coin in and out until the metal didn't stick out any farther than the glass. And then just to be safe, I put those like bumpers, you know, the label on the top and the bottom of the label, those little ridges there. Mm-hmm. And they were like, well, shit, this will work. And so they sent me these engineering drawings, and I approved those. And then they sent me a 3D drawing, which made my 3D drawings look like a kindergarten project. And but it worked, you know. And then back then there was no 3D printing, so they CNC'd your model out of a block of lucite. God. And when that thing showed up, man, it only took 2 weeks. It was like, this is sick. Like, I took it to my bar and I put it on the back bar and everything. And, you know, originally it was just going to be for the vodka. And so I stuck it next to all these different other vodka bottles, and I took some tape and took a Regan Silver Dollar and taped it on there because we didn't have the coins yet. And I was like, oh yeah, this is sick. And then the inspiration for the Desert Sage was actually antique Four Roses bottle I saw from like the early 1900s that was amber and had like roses all over it.
Yeah, it's gorgeous, man. And I tell you what, everybody's talking about the clear bottles, and
They're gone.
I love the damn statement you put on it. This small batch is not limited or special. Right off the bat, quit hoarding them up.
Just glass, man.
That's so cool, dude. I love that part right there. So
Thank
we're
you.
getting hit up pretty good in the chat. People are asking about the holiday bottles.
Sure.
You just released the I guess the Halloween one.
Oh yeah, I got it right here.
Yeah, and
don't be scared.
Yeah, that's right. That's
nightmares
right.
Now.
That's right. And then a couple people are asking, are we going to see a Christmas bottle?
Yes.
That'll be the gift that keeps on giving, baby. That'll be awesome.
And look, I choose it's intentional to do it in the entry level because it's fun. It's like a fun bottle. It's like you could drink it, and we'll do it every year. And so if you drink this bottle, you get another one next year. You don't have to save it. You don't have to put it on display. You can. It's $30 bourbon. It's 4 and 5 year. I mean, I did put a little bit of 6 year in the red, white, and blue one because the red, white, and blue is pretty universal, and we did a lot of them. And I thought it would sell. I thought that there was a risk that retailers would price gouge on it, and so I wanted to make. If somebody did overpay, I wanted to get something a little special. But I mean, the Halloween one, it's like, who wants a Halloween bottle on their shelf after Halloween? It's very specific. You know what I mean? It's like the red, white, and blue ones did not 4th of July 2021. It's just red, white, and blue. And so this is like Halloween. You want this thing sitting around? You want to be an asshole retailer charge? Well, then you're gonna look weird.
Well, I can't think of another Halloween bottle. So it's a pretty damn good idea. So I love it, man. I don't think they've hit. They may have hit Tennessee. I've seen a few people.
They just shipped 2 days ago to Tennessee.
Okay,
so they're probably not there yet.
So real quick, guys, hit Daniel H up. I'm going to give away one of my small batch bottles. So hit Daniel H up in the chat. I want everybody to be able to try this. So hit Daniel H up in the chat for that. So the bottling, we've talked about the bottles. We've talked a little bit about the juice. Somebody wanted me to ask you, where do you get your cowboy hats?
Oh, Watson's Hat Shop in Cave Creek, Arizona.
There you go.
They're all custom. He does everything. They're not factory blanks. He does the finishes on them and everything. He's like really. He bought out a hat shop from the late 1800s, and so he'll hand form stuff, but a lot of it's using antique blocks. So it's like shapes that haven't been around for a while, and man, he ruined me. Not just by how they, I went there and got fitted for it, but his signature finish hat. It's just it breathes. It's so light and it breathes so well. And he told me that, like, he's like, you won't wear a straw hat anymore. I mean, I still do, but I never thought I'd be wearing like beaver felt hats. But yeah, and then the hat bands are makers, and she's been doing it since like the late 70s. And me being 50, I lived as a child. My father, he's always worn cowboy boots. I mean, I have a little more style than he did, but he always had cowboy boots. He always had hats. And then in the 70s, during the urban cowboy thing, like I had a belt, I had it all. And I just remember these hat bands from like the late 70s. And I found her on Etsy, and I was like, because usually you see them and they're not quite right. And I was like, these are legit. And I didn't know her history. And
she nailed it.
The reason they're legit because she's been doing them this whole time,
something that just come to mind when you're talking about hats and where you find stuff. I think from what I remember, I don't know, you definitely know the answer. This time last year, I think Smoke Wagon was in between maybe 7 and 10 states. Where is Smoke Wagon? How many states can we find it in now?
So 12 states that like are regular, and then we're special order in Idaho, special order in Oregon. But Oregon's weird. Like liquor stores get it, even though we're not like just regularly distributed there. Special order in North Carolina, um, and Virginia. I know we're special order in Virginia because we broke the day that we showed up on the Virginia ABC website. A special order, it crashed the website like 2 days in a row. That was crazy. But yeah, so it's like um, Georgia, Tennessee, obviously, New York, New Jersey. We just got into Kentucky, um, Arizona, California, here, Texas, which is insane. It's just a monster. I mean, Texas is like, man, it's crazy. Where else? Illinois and Colorado, and I'm sure I missed some places.
What about Louisiana?
Not
Is it
yet.
coming?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I would say Florida is where I want to go next. But Florida is like Texas, man. So we just got to be ready. We got to have our big boy pants on and make sure we can keep up, because like people say like, when are you going to come to Florida already? I'm like, dude, if we came to Florida right now, you wouldn't even see it. It's like if I peeled off one pallet per SKU for Florida, you guys, it was like it would just be frustrating. You would never be able to find it, and
then somebody will
let's just
secondary it or
wait
something.
until we can sort of hopefully,
Yeah. No, it makes sense. I mean, you want to keep it fair, and you want to make the money that you should, but you also want to keep your name as being
yes,
Smoke Wagon. We can get it. All right, it's in Florida. Be on the lookout. Hey, you check where you're at. I'll check where. We know how the game works, but the availability is a big deal.
yeah. I mean, and we're in it for the long haul. We don't have an exit strategy. We're not like trying to push out as many cases as we can just so that we look good to some big brand to buy it. I don't want to sell out. I like doing this and I want to do it. I mean, look, that was one of the reasons I transitioned out of the bar business into this, because the bar business is like, man, I'm gonna be old one day, and
Yeah.
what am I gonna be doing? Owning bars? How am I gonna know like what people like, what the kids wanted? You know what I mean? It's like with
Sure.
this,
No.
you'd be old doing this. I could be 80, and it's not like anybody's gonna be like, oh, what does that old guy know about making bourbon? You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
and the irony is, we were always on this doing it slow. And in the beginning, it was because I couldn't afford to hire brand ambassadors or a sales team. And I understood the game. And I knew if we went someplace and couldn't do market support and things like that, we'll die. And I don't want to die and then try to come back. And now we're moving slow because, we just, it's the demand is insane, and so we want to support the markets we're in, and not really have any. I try. I mean, obviously, there's no way we're going to get everybody everything they want. It's just I mean, one day with how many, we're contract. You keep contracting more day one distillate barrels from MGP to distill for us. So one day we'll be able to, but so there'll always be some hurt feelings when we go we go into a new state, and like in other states you'll be like, why we want more, we want everything, and but at the same time I don't want to be spread a mile wide and each inch deep, and like really not be able to send anybody anything. So just want to have these positive relationships with everyone.
Yeah. That's the thing, man. That's what we do here on Whiskey Tube. You're a part of it. We share, we send, hand deliver samples, and everybody really on this Whiskey Tube world gets a chance to try stuff that normally they can't find in their stores yet, which it'll change. That will happen, eventually. But Steve had a question. Will production be, I guess, bigger than it was, when you get the new place up and running?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'll get to the point where we're limited. Then we'll be limited by juice. And so we'll only be able to do so much until, you try to plan for the future, but there's only always so much money. And so it'll probably be like 2 years until we can really, till stuff when we've really started laying things down, will start coming of age, and we can, really ramp. I mean, the thing is, like, what we're doing now is, I think, way more than anybody has an idea, because you can't really find it's like, and places where people are like, I used to be able to get your stuff all the time. I'm like, man, a year ago we were sending like nothing where you live, and now we're sending every month 3 pallets of each expression, and it just disappears before, like, the day it gets there. It's crazy. It's nuts. And so, yeah, I mean, and it's cool because when we're just doing barrel picks thing, you have to tell whether or not the brand is real, because nobody's really drinking that stuff.
Yeah.
And now with people, straight sell, as you can sell as much straight as I do uncut. And that's real. That's people drinking, same with small batch. It's like, it's people drinking it and going, oh, that was delicious. I would like some more of that. And that's cool,
Yeah, and then makes you want to try the others, so
Yeah.
that's no, that's God, this stuff's so good, man. I just
Thank you.
and it's when you, but you kind of mentioned a minute ago MGP. I don't know what, and it may not have made any difference for you, but because I know where you're getting your barrels, where they're coming from at the MGP. That I know the ages and all that good stuff. Do you still make pretty frequent trips to MGP?
No, I don't really go there at all anymore.
So you just get your order in, and they
samples
do
anymore.
your thing. Well, I
Go
guess
through
so.
so many barrels. There's no time to pull samples. It's just, I just gotta kind of, based on my experience with the different warehouses and the floors, and even the cooperages to some degree, and and then it used to be when we did laydowns, I would kind of get them spaced out, but now we contract to still so much, and I want everything racked, because 75% of what MGP distills now is not racked in the Seagrams or old Quaker warehouses. It's palletized in the new warehouses, and my stuff's exclusively racked, and so you start running out of room, and so they just kind of get it in there where they can, and then our next contract is going to be 1,200 barrels a month, and I was told by the operational manager, he's like, you guys are we're going to max them out, what they can do, not of that mash bill, but of that 36% rye racked. And so you will get to the point where, when you're talking about Smoke Wagon and racked 36% rye, that it's us, and that's it.
I mean, that just damn, dude.
But here, the funny thing is I had no preconceived notion of what bourbon should taste like. I have no experience. When I started doing this, I just blended it till I liked it. You know what I mean? And I was a novice, and and so I think that is part of the reason why even uncut so accessible. I mean, now I can drink hot stuff. It doesn't heat. I don't taste heat anymore. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm still tannin sensitive. I think the reason a lot of people like the bourbon is I don't like oak. Even in the uncut unfiltered, I bury the oak with the young juice, and that was one of the lessons I had to learn. Like when we were talking about like how long it used to take me to do uncut, it used to take me days, just days of trial and error, because I didn't understand what was happening. And even until like 8 months ago, I would have situations where I thought, like, harsh. There's too much young juice. It's hard. Young juice is harsh. Is great, and it's not when a lot of the perceived harshness is tannins, and especially when you're talking about higher proof stuff. And so what I realized is I can use the young juice to bury the oak. And once I really understood the balance of, you want the lipid esters and that high concentration of fat from the old stuff, but you can use the young stuff to bury the oak. Then it really all started coming together. It will never be 175 uncut. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe straight. The entry level I would do, but not 175s of uncut.
Oh Jesus, that's my main man, DC man. He's if there's a question to be asked, it's worth not asking. DC's going to be the one to do it. That's for sure. But Aaron, you were talking about tannins and high heat and stuff like that. I don't like whiskey that on the back end just ignites me. I don't mind it
Yeah,
hot on the palate, but when you throw that fire on the back end, that's where my little throat punch thing comes from. I
right.
think you've kind of killed all the blend, you've killed all the flavor that when you go back for that next taste, all you're expecting is that heat.
Yeah, well,
So
it's
I like
uncomfortable. Like you
yeah.
can feel it in your stomach, and down your esophagus, and it's crazy because if you take a 9-year or an 8-year barrel pick of mine, 116 or 118, it drinks hotter than uncut unfiltered, and that's because that's, believe it or not, because uncut unfiltered has young juice blended in. It's still primarily 6-year and older. And I really haven't used any 4-year in a long time because the 6-year that we have right now is very low tannin, and also that I have it. Back in the day when it was just 4 and 8-year or 4 and like 9-year, it required more 4-year to balance the older stuff. Like I really needed something really young. Now that it's like the heart of it's like 6 and 7-year, I don't really need the 4-year. We can get some 5-year in there, but yeah, it's great, and everybody's like, I want 800-year-old bourbon that's 192 proof, and it's like, and then they do a post where I'll put some ice in it. It's like, well, then that's not what you want. And
Well,
when
they
you do
sell
blind,
kerosene every day, so you just go get you a tank of that.
and it's
You
very
know,
rare to find an older bourbon that is not over oaked, that has the balance. For one, it could have never been rotated, because if you're rotating barrels, you're breaking up the char, and
yeah,
over time, it's not going to have a balance, because that's sort of the industry standard. Started on the high floor. Look, even the Jim Beam commercials, like, we hand rotate every barrel. Well, I mean, well, how else are you going to do it? But but that's the standard. Put it on a high floor. Rapid maturation. Everybody's got to get out as much bourbon as possible, and they want it to be dark, and so you put it on a high floor. Give it a couple hot summers, roll it to a lower floor, and now you've rolled it around. You broke up that char. All that char is floating in the juice. Yeah, it's getting darker faster, and maybe even aging a little faster because now, you got these 3-dimensional pieces of char floating around in there. But when you start getting older, and your volume's going down, but the amount of char in the juice is the same, and you have a barrel's worth of char in your juice, but only 50% worth of juice, you're not going to have a balance. It's going to be over oaked, and I think that's a lot of that is I mean, everybody wants to have toasted barrels now, and all barrels are toasted. It's the next layer
yeah.
after the char, and if you're aging it properly and letting it sit on its side in a good aging environment, you don't need to toast it because it's going to get the balance over time.
Right.
It's not going to be over oaked, and now all of a sudden it's lost all these flavors that you want to try to regain by toasting.
So, in your opinion, in your with your palate and everything that you've done with Smoke Wagon, do you? And I mean, I know we talk about over oaked and stuff like that, but do you think like is is 15 years too long? Is 15 years like a perfect number, or do you think more like 12? In
It,
your
it
opinion?
You can't. It all depends on the environment and the
Yeah.
floor and the warehouse and all kinds of things. I mean, it just look, I've got these 14-year barrels that we've had for 2 years, and something happened to them while they were out here. They're better than they were when they were old, but man, shit left. There is like, but it tastes amazing, you know. But so, and then I have 4-year barrel, like 4-year barrels that, like, it's like, what, that's only 4 years old. And then I've got I had some 7-year stuff that was off a ground floor that just tasted like it was distilled yesterday. So it's hard, you know. I mean, like whenever you talk to these guys, they always say the sweet spot's 5 to 7 years. Um, but obviously it depends on the environment, and there's exceptions to every rule. You can have a 14-year barrel off a low floor in a warehouse that gets a lot of shade that tastes really good, and then, you know, or you can have like a 5-year barrel that's like exceptional because it was on the 6th floor and all in a window or on a wall that, you know, south facing wall that gets hot, something like that. And it's gonna, or even the seasons, like it may have gone through hotter summers or, you know, colder winters, and so there's more movement through the wood. It's just
Just so that makes me think in your experience with Smoke Wagon, when did you when you started this thought process and like, okay, I need to go find these barrels. I want to do this. I want to get this ball rolling. How long did it take you to say, okay, this is the spot, or I need this. This is the year I want to be at on the purchases? Because I know you're going to do
oh
stuff.
well,
How does that?
almost nothing we've bought is aged. It's almost all contract distilled. We started contract distilling with MGP in 2015.
Okay.
So it's stuff we've had from day one.
So you knew your mash bill. You knew what you were already looking for before all that.
Yeah,
So I mean,
because when we went there,
you tasted and sampled and everything too. You were probably blue in the
we were there
face.
for 3 days in 2012. You know, trying everything and sampling everything, and I just loved that big rye bourbon. You know, I
Yeah.
love big finishes. I can't get enough, and it's funny because like people get uh, they think you're being a dick. Like when I talk about other stuff, I'm
No.
like, well, that's a little, you know, they're like, oh, what do you think about this? I'm like, well, it's a little linear and more one dimensional, but it's a little smoother, you know. And they're like, oh, you're such a hater. I'm like, I'm not. It's like if you have something that is only like 10 or 12% small grains, it's not going to have the complexity of something that's like 30 or 40% small grains. It's like you're not going to get that complexity from corn, and there's only so much you're going to get from the wood, and it's just the reality of the way things are, and it's not good or bad. People that
Yeah.
don't like cinnamon spice and they don't like all the things that I love, and that's cool. You know, I can only do it for what I like, and I'm not like, oh, you hate, you know. It's like when people hate on the brand for inaccurate things, like saying, oh, it's just young juice. I'm like, okay, where does that come from? I do blending videos all the time and tell you what's going in. Or, oh, it's just MGP. It's like, oh yeah, no shit, dude. I like about MGP since day one. That was like, we were always going to
There's
be,
nothing to hide.
yeah. I was like, and so like you do these things with this idea, like, okay, there's going to be, you know, you may not like the flavor profile or whatever, but just no way to hate on. It's going to be open, transparent, and tell everybody everything we're doing. And then with the, you know, of course, they're like, oh, they don't do anything. They just take MGP and put it in a bottle. It's like, okay, if you say so. I mean,
Somebody told me that made the comment one time when somebody was throwing. I was in a liquor store, and it's been years ago. I think I was with my dad, and somebody made an MGP comment. It's like, well, that stuff's MGP. It's not Kentucky. I don't want to deal with it. And I don't remember who said it, but I've always remembered they said, well, they just got to the good water before it got to Kentucky. So
well, I mean,
don't let MGP fool you. That's kind of what the guy said.
They're on the downwind side of the Ohio River. That the wind predominantly blows across the Ohio River that in that direction, and so they get all the morning mist. And you know, and that's the main MGP is the name, and nobody knew really what the Seagram's plant was. And so when they saw MGP and Googled it or whatever, they're like, oh, MGP is they're out of Kansas and they must have built this thing and they make protein and they make ethanol for Purell. And they didn't really understand that facility. And, you know, the Seagram's plant, when they engineered that, built it a week after Prohibition ended. And they built those, if you see those walls, they're just big monolithic brick buildings with no windows except in the stairwells. And they're all double wall masonry, and that's to seal in as much humidity as possible. It's on top of this giant aquifer, and the basements have dirt floors, well, technically they're called sub basement. Ground floor is the basement, and the basement is, and they have doors, and so they're wicking up all that water. And then the other thing they say is that they get all the mist off the Ohio River every morning, and so it until Buffalo Trace started pumping steam into their warehouses, that was the only place in North America where it was so humid the proof would go down over time. And an advantage, people are just now learning the advantages of that. Like when you look at guys that are aging in adverse condition locations, they're not putting in the barrel at 120 proof. They're putting it in at like 100 proof because they know they're going to get so much evaporation, and the proof's going to go up. If they start at 120, it's going to go to 170, 140, and then the alcohol really starts eating away at the wood, and you get a lot of tannins. And so when you're aging it in an environment like Indiana in the Seagram's warehouse, and the proof's going down, you have these bourbons that are 7-9 years old that have this beautiful balance because the proof's gone down, and so it's not really eating away at the wood.
Yeah, guys, get with Daniel H. We're giving away a small batch smoke wagon tonight, so get with Daniel H. on the chat. We've also got Aaron's website for Smoke Wagon HC Distillery in the description down below. Go there, get your merch, get your stuff.
I'll give you a restock soon, man. It's a long,
and the holidays are coming too, dude. So you better load up. So yeah, but well, I had a question come through a few minutes ago, Aaron. Sure. That said, and I know the correct answer is all of them, but is there one batch or one bottle that's like this is my favorite so far that you've created?
It's tough because it's like I'm blending it for that season, and so like the ones right now are always like like the 90s, these ones from the 90s and up. I mean, they're just so perfect for summer. They're high proof, which is good, ironically, because it drinks colder because the alcohol evaporates and that evaporation pulls down your mouth. So it like colder, but it's like I'll go back and revisit them, and it's just, and I don't know. I've never gone back and revisited one and been like, ooh, that was a mistake. I don't really.
You've only sold 500,000 bottles of it. Damn, that sucked.
Batch. Yeah, there was a few bad batches of small batch in the beginning that I've gone back. I was like, oh man. Thankfully, though, we were very small back then, and nobody really drank that. But not uncut. It was always, it was always my baby, and so I'd always spend so much time on it.
No, it's awesome. Hey guys, I've posted the link. We've had Aaron on for a little bit over an hour, and we need to let him go very soon. If anybody wants to jump on, ask a couple questions, feel free. The link is up. But we're going to keep talking for a few minutes, but it's been a great night. But so one thing we can start looking forward now to, guys, is I hate smoke wagons, not in everybody's area, but Aaron, like he said earlier, he's doing his damnedest to do
that could totally be a soundbite. Just I hate smoke wagon, and then end it.
Done. Thank you. Shut the lid. But it's just the holiday bottles are so unique, and like Aaron said, don't just put them up, drink them, enjoy them.
Yeah, there'll be more next year. Yeah, and I think that's kind of part of the industry where it's like even I really haven't. Most people like enjoy it, because they get it. It's fun. It's just entry level bourbon. And it's fun, and that's sort of going back to the thing like we kill ourselves every day for you to bring you the best bourbon. And like people like, oh, we got a holiday bottle. Yeah, man. Like whatever. Like, don't be so precious. It's a delicious, yummy treat that you can drink.
I mean, damn it. The whole start of this business is something to drink. It's not to sit and look at, even though it's, we've talked about the bottles. It's a shelf star.
And I've told the story a million times, and like kind of going back to like doing the blends and everything, I would just do it until I thought it tasted good. I did not, I was never like, it was only later that I kind of would figure out, okay, what are these things that I like? Like if you asked me in the beginning what I was blending small batch to taste like, I would not say I was blending it to be fruit forward with candy flavors and to have like a nice, whatever finish. I was just like, man, I just want this to taste good. And I want it to taste good when I have it on ice because I was still going to my bars all the time and I was primarily drinking everything on the rocks because, they were long nights and there was, and, and I,
Yeah.
when I was drinking a lot, I was drinking vodka and I like kind of wanted things to slow down. And so having some ice made it last longer. And I felt everything got a little one dimensional and watered down. And so I wanted something that didn't, but,
Yeah.
I just wanted it to taste good. And even uncut and filtered, like the first time I did uncut and filtered, again, when you want to talk about how fast this industry has changed, I was in 2017. There was very few uncut bourbons. And if you went to the websites for the ones that did exist, they would say, please enjoy some spring water. And I was like, well, what's the fucking point? I can just give you a small batch with no water and it's going to be too hot. And you'd be like, this is too hot. I'd be like, oh, please enjoy some spring water. It down a little bit to like 100. And so,
Whatever floats your boat, man.
Yeah. And I remember when the head of craft spirits came into the distillery and was like, what are you working? I'm like, I'm working on this one. It's called Uncut and Filtered. And I was like, man, this thing's gonna fucking win a double gold in San Francisco. And he's like, no, again, right? Only 2017, not that long ago. And he was like, oh, cast strengths never win. They're too hot. Da-da-da. And I was like, this is not like that. I blended it to taste its best neat. And he's like, well, how does it taste? I was like, oh, it tastes good. And he's like, well, you got to be a little more descriptive than that. I was like, it tastes really fucking good. And he was like, well, no, there's stone fruit. And so I was like, I don't fucking know, man. I just fucking worked on this for 3 days until I was like, oh, wow, I'm really enjoying this experience of drinking this, and that's all it was. I didn't have any preconceived notion, and there was definitely no, I don't know. I didn't really. I'm trying to hard to think of the words, but it's like prestige or like sort of, you know what I mean? Like it was just like, oh yeah, cool, this tastes good. I hope you like it. Never like I've worked and we found this recipe in my great grandfather's shoe after he died, and this is I hand pick every bean and before I put mash. I was like, it's like, hey, this is good.
Talk about nailing it. Yeah, well, that's pretty fucking good. But
I think, buddy. Look, I think that's one of the reasons. I could be wrong, but I think that's kind of one of the reasons why people, relate to the brand is, and it's weird me being the face of the brand because the whole reason that the bars were successful is because I was in the shadows. You have all these bars where like the owners want to be the guy, and I just want everybody to have a good time, and like it was never about me; it was about their experience. And nobody knew who the fuck I was. And so for this, it was like, oh, it's about the bottles and it's about the product and all these things. And then finally, I think I can't remember who it was. I posted a picture of a person on Instagram and somebody was like, finally, a fucking picture of a person, and I was like, oh, do people not just want to see bottles? And so I started doing all the videos and talking about it and everything. But, I think it's pretty obvious that I'm just like a regular guy that decided to do this. And so it's sort of relatable. It's not like I'm,
Well, no, I mean you're outgoing. You answer people's questions on Instagram. You come on New Whiskey Channel shows like tonight, so you put yourself out there, and it's only helping the brand and get the word out, which you need now. Zero help with doing that because. We know that
you got to stay humble,
shit,
man.
Aaron. I'm just telling you, dude. When you run out of the special bottles, something's right.
Yeah.
When you're doing things like that you just don't predict might happen, you got to check yourself. Say, damn, we're on to something. Let me bring in. Go ahead, Aaron.
Oh, sure. I was like, well, kind of. It's like, look, everything in life is fleeting, and you just, you can't get full of yourself because believe me, I had moments, especially when my bars first opened, where I thought I was hot shit, and and you find out that you're only hot shit for a moment, and then it goes away. And so, the two things. So one, the Instagram answering people's questions. I follow people on Instagram. I've got like companies or reviewers or things like that I would look up to, and when they would like my comment, I was like, oh man, that's fucking awesome. Or conversely, there'd be somebody I follow on fucking Patreon, and it's like they ask a question, and and you put this heartfelt answer into it, and they don't even like it. It's like, dude, these are Patreon members. You should like every single comment. There's not that many. And so it's like, now that we've blown up, I appreciate everyone. It's super fun doing this, and I love doing it. I know why I get to do it. It's because there's these people out there that enjoy drinking it. And so, and it's not like some big largesse on my part, like, oh, it's like, it's cool. It's awesome. It's like, I enjoy talking to these people, and I relate to almost all of them. And, it's just the bourbon community has been awesome. And look, I mean, the first thing that we had that really freaked me out back in December 2019 was when that barrel got stolen, and so I was like all freaked out. I was like, what's everybody going to think about us? That like this, because Bourbon Enthusiast was a huge group, 100,000 followers on Instagram. And so I did those videos, and the bourbon community was like, it's cool, man. Nobody ever stands up for us. Like, we understand. And so it's like turned this really stressful situation into like something super positive. And so I've always been appreciative. I mean, I was appreciative before that, but after that, I was like, man, bourbon community is just like, for the most, I mean, obviously everything's negative, but I would say the bourbon community is one of those rare communities that is overwhelmingly positive. And there aren't a lot of them, because I've been in the field, like motorcycles, everyone's a cunt. They're all like competitive about what they have, and like you do something, they're like, oh, well, I have this, and you should have done that. Or like cars, or like, but this is like everybody's cool to share stuff. And the comparison I make a lot is like, buying music before the internet, where you would you'd like come back to your friends and be like, I was at this record store, somebody turned me on to this, and and that's kind of what it's like, and everybody's pretty cool.
Aaron, right below you is Mike Stahl from Livewire Whiskey.
How you doing?
Mike, good. Mike has a channel, him and Adam, Livewire Whiskey, and it's basically an open pub style channel, kind of like what we just are doing now, where we bring people in and people just talk amongst themselves about whiskey and ask questions.
I need a better bottle backdrop, man. All you guys are crushing it with these.
Then you got Independent Joe under me. He's in California. He is one of our retired servicemen, so hats off to Joe. And guys, welcome for coming on. If you got any questions, guys, let them shoot real quick.
So we're, for those that are looking at me, we were supposed to go live here in about 12 minutes ago, but we wanted to hold off since Aaron was on here with Marty, and Adam and I, Mr. Whiskey Shits is my partner. We both had a question for Aaron, and then I'll jump off and listen. We'll finish getting everything rolling over on Livewire. But do you have any plans to, and maybe somebody asked this already, do you have any plans to do a rye?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, it was supposed to have happened last year, but we got offered those 1,200 barrels that were on hold for the brand side, and they were leaving, and then offered them to us, and we had to buy them, and that was a lot of money. And but yeah, I've got them on reserve, and it's happening. It'll happen. We'll have stuff ready to go as soon as we get into the new space.
Very cool. All right, awesome, Aaron. It was a pleasure. If you ever want to have a glass and just shoot the shit with people, you're welcome always at Livewire.
Always, man. I love it. It's so. I was just talking to somebody the other day, like how, I don't miss the old days. I like having time to do stuff like this, and I like just walking into the distillery and all my samples are ready for me, and I figure out the blend, and I'm like, all right, what else is going on, and I get out of there.
There's a difference between owning a business and being self-employed, right? Like, once you start having people you trust working with you, it makes a big difference. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's crew we have now is amazing. I mean, even like when I talk to people on all sides, they're like, you only have like 2 people doing that, or even the bottling guys. Like when we tell them, you know, we're talking to all these companies to line up the automated system for the new space, and they're like, well, this is what we're doing now, and they're like, you're doing that now, like with these with those 3 guys over there with no automation anything. We're like, yeah, man, he's crushing it, you know.
They got to make the cork.
Yeah.
No.
Well, it's cool because I can take care of everybody because I don't have a sales team and I don't have brand ambassadors. And so, like, you know, everybody's got pensions and, you know, full benefits and
Well, if you ever
pay.
think about hiring some.
Yeah, we had, I think you might know Mike Root, who does Copper Sky here in Colorado.
Yes.
A lot.
Fuck,
yeah,
I gotta get
smaller
in contact with him. I got to give him my cell. He messaged me on Instagram, and those Instagram messages, man, they get
yeah, he's just amazed by how supportive the other, you know, manufacturer distillers are as well. Just everybody's always jumping in to help each other, and this community is great. Marty, you know, has a charity stream coming up. Is it coming up, Marty, or did it just happen? I missed it. Where
no, we're still going. We're still going with the for Friday at Fred's, the bottle giveaways, or the bottles for them, because they went through so much with the hurricane. Yeah, they lost all kinds of stuff. So we're having people throughout whiskey community just, you know, send them hand deliver a bottle to those people.
It's just remarkable how this community comes together to help.
Yeah.
You know, we've had Alzheimer's charity events, colon cancer events, and it just brings out the best in everybody, donating bottles, you know, throwing money at the charities, you know.
I even donated a hat for one of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that stuff is so freaking amazing how everybody comes together to help other people.
Yeah. Adriana almost raised $10,000 for her.
That was one night.
Charity.
Yeah,
Whiskey Mountains out of Utah. Yeah.
Whiskey Mountains.
All right. Well, hey, I'm gonna jump. Aaron, it was a pleasure meeting you. Congratulations on all your success, and thank you for the clear bottles.
I appreciate it.
They were awesome.
Thank you.
They seem special to me. No. All right, we'll see you at Limewire.
DC said if you go with a rye, go ahead and put on a green medallion. That would be awesome for the rye.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird how rye has become green, because traditionally it was blue. Like even before like anything was labeled, like if you look at, you know, pre-Revolutionary War stuff and around that era, corn whiskey came in a clear glass bottle and rye whiskey came in a, you know, it was all the juice was, nothing was aged back then, but rye was always blue, and now rye is green.
Yeah. Adriana said let me put that up. Aaron raised $10,500 for Alzheimer's awareness.
For Alzheimer's.
For just it was strictly just whiskey tube people.
Whiskey tube.
And that was
people.
Well,
I mean that's what I use all those the special batch, small batch. You know, the only way you can get one of those is either a giveaway or you know, anytime somebody's doing any type of charity auction, I always have those for that, and because something special, you can't buy it, you know. So
yeah.
And even I put aside all those private reserve batch number ones for charity auctions, and it's cool.
You've been pretty vocal about people selling your whiskey on secondary. Is that right?
I mean, you know, well, like it's not, you know, black or white, you know. I mean, obviously there's the gray area of horse trading, and people just kind of, you know, like maybe. So, you know, because I understand there's like people that can't get it where they live, and you know, people are trading and things like that. But when you have guys who are just buying stuff to flip it for absurd prices, it's ridiculous. And and people are like, oh, isn't that awesome? Like, no, I think it hurts the brand, because it's already hard to fucking get. And then if you're like somebody who's, you know, follows this stuff, and you're like, oh, great, the only way I can get a bottle of that is like, you know, pay $1,500 on secondary. Like, what's the fucking point? Like, who even gives a shit? You know what I mean? And I think it's negative. And then of course it negatively affects, you know, because then people are like, these retailers suck. They're charging like, you know,
and it's not your guys'
bottle. And it's like, because they're sick of people coming in and take a picture and selling it on the secondary before they even leave the store, you know. But I mean, as a retailer, you gotta like sort of because I can relate because
Yeah.
I don't raise my prices. All the all this is going to end. It's all going to even out, and I want to be righteous throughout the whole thing and not like people are like, oh, Smoke Wagon, well, they saw what was going on secondary, so they raised their prices. I mean, if you're a retailer and your raises for secondary, there's not going to be a time where everybody wants everything. And if you're like a retailer and you're doing that, you're going to get a bad reputation. Love choices, and the beauty of cap, you vote with your dollars. And if you're
Yeah.
like screwing people, then they'll go somewhere else where they're getting fair pricing. And I think the same will be true with brands, like how they sort of act throughout these periods of where everything's easy. He come out with a bourbon, he could go buy 4-year, and charge $90 for it, and people are going to buy it. It's like that probably won't always be the case.
Hey, Aaron, have you ever walked into a second or a store that doesn't really need to be secondary and seen Smoke Wagon and the price just so elevated before?
No, I haven't, because here locally they don't really do that too much. And then when I do go to stores, if I'm traveling, I'm usually just traveling to do like the distributors taking me around, so they probably they take me to their good stores, and so those are usually stores have fair pricing, things like that.
I couldn't imagine walking into a liquor store and seeing my bottle on the shelf, and then that's step one, and then step two, walking in somewhere else and seeing it, just jacked up in price, and how that would make me react and feel.
I mean,
because you said it earlier, you work so hard to keep this,
Yeah.
this
yeah,
at this
it's a
level.
lot of work, especially when we're small. Now that we're doing volume, we're no longer around a rounding error to these vendors anymore. So it's like when I get mad, people pay attention. And but back in the day, it's like a lot of like really hard strategic decisions, and then a lot of capital outlay on our part to order everything in bulk to get the pricing down, and it hurt, but it was all part of the process, because we're spending all our money on that and spend all our money in inventory. So I did everything, and it was cool because I felt like I was in control, because I would go do tastings and I would sell out a store's entire inventory in like 2 hours, and I was supposed to be there for 3 hours.
Yeah.
And I'd go to bars and like hand out samples. That was tough. That was much tougher than standing in a liquor store. And but that's just what we had to do. And so yeah, and then you see the price gouging, and it's like, well, come on, like there's not that much of it. You as a retailer what are you gonna do? I mean, you're running a business here. It's not like it's not like you're in a liquor store and you sell $1,500 and you're like, ooh, I made all this money. I mean, if it sat there for all this time, it's just like, it's not life changing.
Yeah.
You can't go buy a car or like a second home with the
Right.
extra, $900 you made or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, what's the point? It's
Definitely.
I think, what's the expression? Tripping over dollars, reaching after pennies. It's like you're getting all this bad will, and just for what, a few extra bucks when you could be moving stuff. And,
So your bottle design, and you probably already talked to it, but your bottle design is beautiful. As far as
thank you.
How did you guys come up with it? I mean, if you already answered it, that's okay.
It all started with the bottle shape.
Uh-huh.
And then I wanted it was all for Silver Dollar, the vodka, and so I had to design a bottle to fit the coin in the front. And then like for the bourbon, I wanted to do amber glass, because all the stuff I saw in the historically was amber glass. And two things everybody told me I couldn't do is I couldn't do glass, and I couldn't put guns on the bottle. And I said, we're going to do both of those things. And, and they told me we couldn't, have a round bottle with a flat on the front. And so I had to engineer the bottle to do it. And then when I did the 3D model, I put all the desert sage on it, and it was based off the the 3D Desert Sage that was on Nevada State coin because I figured that would translate, you know.
Oh, awesome.
And then I designed the logo. And Jonathan, actually, my business partner, he was the one. I was just designing the logo and just putting random Latin on it. He was like, "Oh, the perfect Latin is Bibus Moriandum S," which is Seneca the Elder toast or quote, which means "Drink, for we must die." You know, have a good time of the day because you're not gonna be around forever. And I was
Yeah,
like, "Well, there
yeah.
you go. That's how we live our lives." And so it worked out perfectly.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But
Joe,
yeah, I designed everything. I just come from business too. Like a lot of these craft guys had really shitty, and they're into the bar with shitty packaging, and they
Yeah.
would go, "I have made this." I'm like, "Cool, but your packaging sucks, man." And they're like, "Yes, but I have created this bourbon with my own hands. It is craft." I'm like, "That's super cool. This is a bar. No one's gonna want that. No one's gonna. Bartenders aren't gonna have time to educate people. No one's gonna look at that bottle and want to ask to have a bartender hand it to them, and they're gonna look at it and shitty packaging. Not gonna trust what's inside. They're not gonna have any confidence in like what's going on in there. So you know, and then they would do like all these old timey labels like black
Yeah.
and gray and stuff. I was like, man, that was cheap. That was like snake oil came like that.
Oh.
High-end products, you know, it was the Industrial Revolution. It was like the first time that people could like sort of mass produce you know, quality things like
Yeah.
and if you know there's you could buy a book on what do you call monograms, like a monogram book to give you examples of what your monogram should be. It was like that thick, you know, every detail was important.
Yeah,
I just tried to look
definitely.
like as authentic and as high end as I possibly could, and also traditional, because you know when we started doing this, it was still the tail end of vodka, and like all the vodka packaging was very now, you know, it was very current. And I just wanted to like look like it had been around forever. Like if you saw it, you'd be like, "How did I
It
miss
does
this?
look like
Has
a
this been
classic
here?
bottle.
Like, is this brand been here for like 100 years? Like, what is this?"
So
Yeah.
Aaron, so we're out of the dark bottles. That's why we went
Uh-oh.
to the clear. Are we going to get
I
back
can't
to
hear
the?
anybody.
You there? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Joke. Yeah. Aaron,
Can you hear us, Eric?
Oh no.
you got me now? Can you hear us, buddy?
Marty,
We
I
can
can't
see you.
hear you. Hold on. Maybe
All right,
it's
we're good. Hey, Joe, have you cracked that red medallion bottle?
Yeah.
What is that one? I can't remember. Is that the
This was a private barrel that was they it was specifically for some New
I don't
York
know.
party, I
Is it
guess, that they had out there.
okay.
And a friend of mine had it, and he gave it. He didn't give it to me, but he sold it to me for a decent price. So I took it off his hands.
Right. What's it say on the label? What's it read?
This is Smoke Wagon, private barrel, straight bourbon whiskey.
Okay.
And it
So it's
just
a
has
private
the,
barrel.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So is it really, really good? I'm assuming.
It's
I can't hear you guys.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
let's see.
We can hear you. Can you hear us now?
Can you see the chat? Maybe somebody can put in there that we can hear him. He just can't hear us,
Yeah.
or he just
I did that right there. See if it'll catch to him. Maybe he can see that. Guys, get your entries into Daniel H. We're going to close it down here in a minute so we can if Aaron can hear us, let him pick a number for the winner. Every $5 entry gets you a shot at the small batch bottle. Can you hear us, buddy? We see you and can hear you.
You guys can hear me? I can't
Yes.
hear anybody. Let me what's going on here? Technical difficulties.
It's all right, man. That's that crazy Nevada weather. You'll catch up. You'll get it here in a second.
Yeah, I can see that it's picking up. I don't know why I can't hear anything.
How about now?
If my headphones back in.
Can you hear us now?
Yeah, we'll wait.
Look,
Well, this is a bummer.
That's all right. We got you, buddy. You can hear us. Everybody in the chat, tell him we can hear him. I got you, Daniel.
we can hear you.
What if I should leave and come back? I'm going to
Try it.
leave and come back.
Okay.
I can't get my
Hi, Marty.
Hey, buddy. Thanks for coming on if I hadn't said it yet, man.
Yeah, no, I was like thinking, oh, you know what? There's going to be so many people jumping on. So I was here watching and trying to put some people's, I guess, their channels on the thing. And I'm like, man,
Yeah.
nobody's showing up. I better go upstairs and change.
Well, it's
real quick.
funny.
And
It's funny, man. When I had Bernie Lubers on, I opened it up and nobody jumped in, but that's okay. You know, we still have a good time anyway. So
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
all right.
No,
Thanks
I
for
was
doing it, buddy.
I was
appreciate you doing it.
I was just thinking so many people were going to jump on. I was like, well, I don't want to crowd it. And then all of a sudden,
No, it's cool.
me and Stahl show up. So
No, I'm glad you did. I
At the same
appreciate it a
time.
whole lot, man. I do.
oh yeah, anytime.
Daniel, if you're ready, we can probably go ahead and do this while we wait on Aaron to see if he comes back. And if you need more time, you let me know. Yeah, Daniel says please tag him if you've donated for the bottle. And I think he's caught up pretty much with everything. But yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to give away the small batch gold medallion straight bourbon whiskey. It's just I'll tell you what, Joe. That's probably top for me on my shelves. I'd say top 3 prettiest bottles in the business.
Oh yeah,
I
definitely.
just
Easy.
I remember when I saw it the first time in February, the guy at the store says, "Hey man, I've got a bottle I want to show you." He brought out, uncut, unfiltered. He handed it to me, and I saw the label on the back and everything. I said, "How much is it?" And I think he said like $69. I said, "I'll take it." Didn't have a clue,
Yeah.
and I was like, "I'm so glad I did."
Yeah, when I first
How about now, buddy?
I can hear you now. I just must have had a Bluetooth issue that was sabotaging everything. I just turned off my Bluetooth and now it's working.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Yeah, Daniel, I'm ready, man. Let's do it while we've got Aaron here, and everybody can say congratulations. And then
Sorry,
we'll let Aaron.
I didn't hear any of that.
No, you didn't miss anything. Me and Joe were talking about the bottles and how we
Yeah.
found it the first time, and when we first saw it in the store.
we didn't hesitate. I mean, at least he was saying also that we didn't hesitate when we bought this bottle because it was just so attractive and
Oh, thank you.
and the design was just awesome. Now you're coming out with the holiday versions on the
Yeah.
the small
Yeah.
batch, or not the
Yeah,
small
we got
batch.
the Halloween right here.
Yeah,
Don't be scared.
Uh,
Make that drink every time.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Is that-
We want to drink it.
is that going to be
Thanks,
a
bud.
normal thing for different holidays, or is just one off for? I
Yeah,
mean, you did the American. you
we'll
did the
probably
American
do
one.
it for the 3 big ones, So 4th of July, I just was like, hey, I want to do a 4th of July one because I'll and then the guy that I deal with for the company that coordinates all our packaging, he was the one
That is the 4th of July one.
he was one, holiday, the Halloween bottle, and I was like,
Uh-huh.
well, maybe, and I wasn't, and then all of a sudden, no, I was looking at it, I was like, it would be cool if the Desert Sage was skeleton hands, and then I did it, and I was like, yeah, that works.
Yeah.
Let's do it, and and it was fun designing it and stuff. The thing I love about it, it's like just doing blind.
That's a problem.
It's like always creative, And yeah, no, actually, I intend to use the entry level stuff, so it's like fun, like you'll if you have a Halloween party, you can have it and drink it.
Yeah.
It's like,
Oh
oh,
yeah.
let's do a
Oh
Halloween
man.
uncut
Take it
bottle.
as a gift. You know, you can
Yeah,
take it to
Yeah,
somebody.
like
that's a really good
limited
bottle.
run of bottles. It's that people are gonna want to save like $30. Man, it's 4 and 5 here. Just have fun with it, drink it, have a good time, responsibly, of course.
Really nice drink on that one too. That's one of my favorite ones to just sip on. I have a lot of those, and those are the ones I drink all the time. And these ones I kind of share with friends when I get to the small batch, and then the uncut unfiltered is what I really share with a bunch of friends. Not that I can't share the other one with friends, but that one that's the one, that's my daily drinker right there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Is a supplier if I'm supposed to say daily drinker? I don't know, but
It's safe.
It's safe.
But yeah, I mean that was the idea, man. Like that, I just felt like everything was getting weird and expensive and unapproachable, and there really wasn't a lot of choices. And to get below $30 a bottle is hard.
Yeah.
It's you got to really start like putting in deals, because like I know what stuff from big brands that sell in the low 20s, what they to a distributor for, and it's big. I sell this to a distributor for, but when you're doing like 9 million a year or whatever, there's 6 million cases, you have all these incentives and these deals in place because you make your money in volume. You're trying to get like buy your higher end stuff or things like that.
Yeah.
And so without me like doing super deals and things, which I can't really afford to do right now, that's kind of like, I mean, especially for a 40% small grain mash bill. I mean, that's an expensive mash bill, it's a lot of small grains. And so
and the flavor really shows, like the thought and the flavor just comes out in it. I really like that one.
Thank you. Yeah, I drink it.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like I'll drink it all the time. I mean, I drink it like in the afternoon in the summertime or things like that, or if I just want something a little mellower.
Yeah,
it's delicious.
Hey, Aaron, real quick, I want to talk a little bit more about, or bring it back up one more time about the distillery, and because there's a lot of people texting me and in the chat that are wondering about what with COVID and all the BS that life has thrown at everybody with all this mess. When can it's hard for I think I'm answering the question as I asked for you, but a time frame to where we can probably get into the distillery and do a tour and maybe tastings down the road. Do you have any sight of time for something like that?
I just know once we have permits, it'll be 4 months. So
okay.
We're pretty
close.
That's
been okay.
Yeah, it's been
springtime, maybe.
Yeah. Well, hopefully. Oh shit, you're right.
Yeah, I know. It's
almost
October.
I mean, it could be February, March.
Yeah.
At this point, yeah. The way things are going, hopefully a little sooner. But
yeah,
I'm not worried. Everything happens for a reason.
That's right.
I don't know what it is, but
yeah.
like I said earlier, I've had so many things that like I thought was destroying my life and ended up being for the best and saving me from myself. That this just might be another one of those things. Like who knows? I don't know why it's taking longer, but it's for a reason.
Well, Daniel just texted me the winner for the Smoke Wagon small batch, and want to give a big congratulations to a new channel that everybody needs to go sub to, along with several others that are here. Whiskey Eyes, Leon and Trisha, congratulations. Makes me happy to know I get to send you this or hand deliver this bottle to you. So congratulations, guys, and everybody that donated tonight. Thank you. Just helps the channel and gets Smoke Wagon in some more people's hands. So
I feel
that's
bad.
a thrill.
Nice.
I wore my contacts and don't have my reading glasses, and I haven't been able to read any of the comments.
Well, you're so damn old, it doesn't matter anyway.
It's true, man. What happens?
Congrats, Whiskey Eyes.
What do they say? I feel like I'm being rude, not responding to them.
No, you're good.
No, they can hear you.
You're doing. Yeah, everybody hears you just fine.
Well, yeah, I usually see the comments. I like try to react. They're just like blurry little things over there on the right. Sorry.
Yeah, that's like I said, we're just getting old, man.
Yeah, beats the alternative, right?
That's right. We'll just keep getting older. That's fine.
Yeah.
And,
You're
you know,
dead.
that's right.
It's
We'll just
cool.
keep drinking. Yeah. So, well, I'll let you know when I head to Nevada, and I'll do some blending. We'll get the
Okay.
whiskey nose medallion drawn
It
up.
is hard.
Dude, I can't imagine. I don't know how you do it, but you're doing it. So
It's fun. It's cool. You know, it's so we used to do tours, bartenders, and like industry people. I would have everything set up so that they could do a blend and it would be perfect. You know, I'd have it all weighed out for them and everything. And I'd have them try each one and be like, oh, see how that's not very good and this isn't very good. And but you put them together, you get something good. And the one state, well, two states, I have a brand ambassador here, and he was do that. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, don't weigh it out for them. I was like, well, I want them to go home with something that they like. He's like, no, they need to understand how hard this is they're doing. So just let them try. Just let them try to do it. I was like, if they're just going to try to do it, it's going to be terrible. He's like, that's the idea. They need to understand.
they need to learn.
To learn that it's you can't just throw some stuff together and be like beep boop. Oh, I've got some MGP. Here you go. You know, they got to understand the process, and so it's but it doesn't take me days to do uncut anymore. I can do it in a couple hours now, most of the time.
That's awesome. Whiskey friend, thank you for staying up at 3:30 in the morning your time. And he says, cheers, Aaron. Cheers, all.
Yo, cheers.
Yeah, buddy. Thank you, man.
Cheers,
it means
brother.
a lot that you came over and watched. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Oh, is he in the UK?
Yeah. Yeah, there's our winners, Leon and Trisha. Congratulations, guys. That's awesome.
Congratulations.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's awesome. So, Aaron, do you drink any scotch at all?
No.
Did you ever like have a palate for it, or were you just like vodka, whiskey?
Oh yeah, sure. A long time ago, I mean, my dad. I lived in Scotland for a couple of years, and my father was a big Scotch drinker. You know, especially in the '80s. You know, it was like Scotch was huge, man. I mean, that was when Scotch Scotch had to be from Scotland because you know the Japanese whiskey was off Scotch at the time.
Yeah.
And I do not like peaty scotches though.
No, I get it.
I'm with you on that.
But nothing does it for me like bourbon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
there's a first love, man, for everybody, and that's mine too. But Daniel H and Zach and some of these guys, man, they're slowly getting me to try some of these scotches and some of the higher end stuff that I've tried. I've found that I do like a lot.
Oh yeah,
it's just
well,
you know
probably 8 barrels.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Daniel can tell me in the chat. I've got a Nika bottle here that is just freaking unbelievable.
Oh, the Japanese whiskey. So you know, I mean, that's the thing. It's like in the Japanese stuff, it's like it's all about the blender. The distiller is just like another worker. The blender is the guy who's the artist who gets all the recognition.
It's crazy good, man. It's crazy good. But
there's a lot of good stuff out there. You know, it's just for me when I was in the bars, I was like, man, I don't want to drink vodka like this anymore. I need to drink something where I'm enjoying the flavor and slow things down. And I tried it all, and I just love bourbon.
Aaron, did you get a chance to meet or have a relationship with Dave Pickerel?
Oh, sure. We hired. I never met him. We hired him as our first consultant. That was what he was doing. Okay. Through American Distillery Institute, they turned me on to him.
Okay.
He's the whole reason we went to MGP.
No shit.
Yeah, so he was trying to find us aged juice. You know, when I first started the whole process, I was like, this is very intimidating. And he's like, oh, don't worry about it. You just buy old stuff like everybody. Everybody else.
You know?
I was like, oh, cool. Hey, I had no idea. I didn't know anything. And nobody would sell to us because that year, 2012, 275 new distilleries opened up. And so the big brands saw craft guys collectively as competition. So they no
Yeah.
longer were willing to sell them barrels. And MGP was the only one doing it because they were in a unique position where they bought the Seagram's plant, which, Diageo, when Diageo bought Seagram's, at that time they didn't want to own a plant. So they just were, getting had contract distilling for all their brands, like, Bullet and then obviously the Seagram's brands. And the sales guy, the one sales guy used to be the head of Maker's Mark, and he was the guy that fired Dave. And so he would not sell to Dave. And Dave was like, this guy just won't even talk to me, man. And so he didn't tell me the story, and I didn't find out the story till later. But yeah, so we had to fly out there because they sort of thought craft guys had more money than they did. And I think a lot of people sort of fronted that they had more money. And so they kind of had this plan to do bulk sales, and they were selling like 4 or 5 barrels, and so they were kind of, if you're for real, you'll come out here. Otherwise, don't waste our time. And so we went out there for 3 days, and right after we were there, they stopped dealing with craft guys, and you had to go through Ultra Pure, and that was one of the reasons that we put aged and bottled by, because most people weren't seeing the barrels; they were buying, gallons Ultra Pure, pumping them in a tote. And so we were sort of a unique position where we owned our barrels, and we're doing barrel pulls and barrels here. And because it wasn't until the summer of 2017 when I ruptured my lower distal bicep tendon and I couldn't dump anything. And I was always under the impression that we had to get out of the barrel as soon as it got here. It was all going to evaporate, because the one guy locally doing it would lose 48% the first year. And that summer, I couldn't dump any of the 10-year barrels that were doing barrel picks for a big chain here, and they were better when I dumped them this summer. And the proof went a little bit, So that was like, wait, the older stuff I don't have to dump right away. It changes when it's here. It gets better. Well, initially, buy was just like, hey, we're not getting totes. These are our barrels. We're pulling barrels. We're doing everything here. We're doing the blending here. We're doing the dumping here. And then we really were. Then it really was like these older ones. Like we should let them sit here. Things change, and they fast. You're talking about summer. You're talking about 4 months of 4% humidity, and it was drastically different after that short amount of time. Yeah.
I mean, that's a flip of the switch right there, real quick, man.
Oh yeah, you can smell it. You can smell outside even with the AC, because like people think it's the temperature. I have the AC on, and just that low humidity is what does it. You get that rapid, a lot of evaporation.
Hey, I just thought of something I wanted to ask you. Do you have a favorite? Well, that's putting you on the spot. What's your favorite type of cigar?
Oh, it's kind of like the batch. It all depends on the temperature and my mood and everything. And it's funny because people are like, what's your go-to cigar? And I really don't have one. I don't know. I like them all.
That's good answer.
Corojos.
That's a good answer.
I do. It's like I like Corojos and Corojos. Some are ironic, like, because I eat Connecticut wrap in the summertime. You'd think you'd want one. Oh, nice light. You smoke one of those. Gotta have a thick, have a Maduro or here in the summer, because even if I turn my cabinet down to 68%, you go outside, it's 5%. You light that sucker up. If it's got a thin wrapper, it's just going to blow up. Just curl everything, and
curls.
They burn too hot. So the light flow tastes great in the wintertime here, but terrible in the summer. And then the thicker, heavier ones, they taste really nice in the summertime. As long as you sip on them. If you smoke them too fast, they'll get hot and just taste like grass. And it was crazy because I was just in Florida for a week, and 80% on the beach, 80% humidity. It's like the temperatures that where, and oh man, I was having my father's what is it? The Flor de Attilis, and I said that wrong. I don't smoke them anymore. They taste like hay heat, but there it was like smoking. It was like smoking vanilla cream soda. It was just
Wow.
in the high humidity. It was so good. Oh man, I was loving it. But here it's like smoking grass. So it's crazy.
Is that because it dries up out here, or
Yeah. As soon as you go outside, and they'll smoke hotter. So you got to get something that's. And the thing is, and you can't. And you got to keep them at a lower humidity, because if you keep it at like 70, 72 and go outside, it's going to be even worse. It's just they're just going to crack and
Instant dry up.
Yeah, you got to keep it at like 68%, so it's not as extreme, and just kind of pay attention. You should pay attention to how fast you're smoking them anyhow. You see these guys like puffing away on these things that obviously never had a cigar, and you're like, well, that's got to taste real good, because you're making that thing like hot, and you want it at the temperature where it's caramelizing all the sugars and the tobacco, and that's where you get all those sweet flavors from. So if you smoke it too hot, it's just going to burn. You're just not going to get any of those nice flavors.
So I guess you got to enjoy them in Florida for a while.
Yeah, I enjoy them here. Lanceros taste really good here.
Excuse me.
I love smoking Lanceros here.
Well, guys, I think we've kept Aaron away from his blending long enough, because we need to get his ass. He needs to shake his tits on back to the blending room and keep these great batches rolling, man. So I think Aaron said they're on batch 100, and I'm still soaking on 39 right here.
We'll get there this month, but yeah, I think we're on 96 right now.
That's awesome,
I got
man.
78.
The 70s were good.
I've got 2 of these 39s.
Definitely.
So
the 39s were interesting. That was when I didn't have the 9-year barrel. That was when I was using these there was a lot I was just bought, thank God. I didn't have access to
how in the hell can you remember that? I'm just serious. You're at 99 and this is 39, and you remember that? Well, I couldn't get those barrels. I
just remember. Well, because you said January, I remember what was going on in January.
Okay, so you did it by month, not by the. Okay, yeah.
I can't tell you. Like if you said what was in batch 39, I couldn't be like, oh, that was 12% this and 5% that. I just remember it was because figure it out, because it was barrels that I had no experience with, because a lot of the stuff was in warehouse, didn't get it, and kind of had to there was all these, and then also it was barrel, because it was all on hold for the Remus guys, and then it got released to the bulk sales. So it was like a lot of experimental stuff. It was like things out of the sub basement. Like when I talked to the old warehouse manager that worked there when we were there in 2012, he was like, dude, they didn't put anything in the sub basement for decades. He's like, I can't believe they did that. So, and I wanted to try everything. It was like, oh, warehouse N. I never had anything out of warehouse N before, like sub basement. And so, I mean, like those, they still are pretty complex. The only reason they've gotten a little simpler is because I'm not really using too much I'm not using any 4-year. I'm not using a lot of 5-year, because that 6-year is so nice.
It's pure in it.
Yeah, but man, there was the warehouse manager. I'd give him the batch pounds for each tank, and it's like, oh, you're just using every tank, huh? I'm like, yeah, we're using every tank. It's like, okay, well, this is gonna take a while, because sorry, you got to do 12 different tanks for this batch, and so, but
Aaron, do you still have 2 monster tanks there that you dump into that you pull from?
We've never used them.
Okay, I just remember you saying something in the past about having some tanks, but I didn't know.
Giant tank that got approved by the city.
Yeah,
and because they never got approved by the city, we are successful.
That's
no shit, man.
You said stuff happens for a reason.
If those tanks got approved, we would have dumped all that 5-year bourbon. And it never would be, the 9, 10, 11, 12-year barrel picks were kind of what got us on the map. And I had to learn vintage blending because we didn't have any way to mass dump the single vintage. And I really like that 5-year. And so the initial plan was all of a sudden that stuff was 8-year, and the stuff that we bought that was LDI or the first run of MGP was now 4 years old. And what I was and what I was told was like, oh yeah, you can blend for consistency now. There was never any discussion about blending for proprietary flavor profile. It was always you can step down your 8-year to make it taste like a 5-year, and then you blend for consistency. You don't have to dump it all anymore. And then I started messing around with it, and I was like, well, this is better. I tried doing it the way they told me to do it to make it taste like a 5-year. I was like, this is disgusting. This does not taste the way that delicious 5-year tasted. And also, you got to realize too, like when I tried the 5-year, it was one barrel. They all tasted blended together back then. Funny thing, sample like 5-year, one fucking barrel. Like who the fuck knows? Like what the rest of them taste like, And so they were like, no, don't do it. Don't do this. Don't make small batch an 8 and a 4-year blend because that's all I had. And I was like, well, but this tastes better than anything else to me. And so I feel like I'm bringing something to like new. I never had bourbon tasted like this before. And so what I should do. And like 8-year in a bottle says because we had 200 barrels at the time was a shit ton of barrels. I mean, now 200 barrels is like fucking whatever, man. It's nothing. It's gone in 4 weeks, it's crazy. And then so they're like, just release small batch as an 8-year with no age statement, then step it down and then make it 5 years and then put your 8-year. And I was like, but then we really are just doing what everybody's saying. We really are just taking MGP and put it in a different bottle. We're not doing anything. This is unique. This does not taste like MGP. This does not taste like anything I've had before, and it's creative, and this is what we're going to do. And they're like, you can't do that. Don't do it. And I was like, why? Like, because nobody does that, and they didn't. Like, if you look at the only company that was blending for a flavor profile, it was, High West, and they were using multiple mash bills. They weren't using the same bill, and they weren't contracted still same mash bill to plan over time how to keep these flavors going on. And so it was something unique, and so this is what we're going to do, and we're going to tell everybody this is what we're going to do on it. We're going to explain the process, and there's no way anybody could hit us ever. Yet they
let me ask you this: where you're at right now, with you got to take COVID out of the equation, because that's just like everybody's life in the U.S. and around the world. It's a step back.
Right.
Nobody is where they need to be in life because of COVID. When you look back at going back to 2010 and 11.
Oh, hey, you want me to answer this question?
Yeah, go ahead.
There are no plans to do our own distillate. 2 reasons. One, it's not legal in the state of Nevada. There's no license for us. There's only a craft distiller's license. And then even the license that Frey Ranch has, which is a state distiller's license, even that would not allow us to do as much as we're doing currently. So the have to start lobbying for the state to try to make that happen. And 2, down here, it's just too much volume loss. It'd be 48% the first year. There's just no way to have a quality aged product aging
that
it
damn
here.
heat.
Yeah, and the acidity, and you can't. I mean, I've had people ask me, why don't just do it and humidify your facility? It's like, well, it's kind of a water shortage going on right now. We're in the desert and lake meat is rapidly shrinking, and I'd kind of be an asshole, like, hey, screw you, poor people, no water for you. We gotta keep these barrels humid over here. So sorry about that. So it's just not practical. And honestly, I couldn't be able to keep things as affordable as they are. It's like we're advantage of MGP's buying, and I would not be able to tell on day one myself what I pay for a brand new barrel, when I contract to still through them. And I mean, how do you scale to that? It's like doing 1,200 barrels a month of one mash. Like when the rock out, we could be doing like 800 barrels a month of that. I mean, 2,000, over 2,000 barrels a month. It's just the size of the facility you need to do that is crazy, And now
Yeah,
it's
it's
just a phone
wild.
call. Hello, can I please have these every month?
Jeez. But no, this will be my last question, Aaron, and this is.
I didn't even answer your other one. We answered
No, this
Daniel's
is the same
question.
one. It's the same one. Listen, it's the same one. So I think it's a great one to end with. But going back to 2010, 2011, like when I started the stream with you tonight, we're talking about, when you started your bourbon journey for Smoke Wagon,
Right.
if looking back 10 years to where you are now, have you exceeded the expectations to where you can't believe where you're at, or did you think you'd be further behind or ahead? Just when you think back to 2010, are you just sitting there going, "Oh my God, I mean, this is unbelievable"? Because that's how I look at it for you.
It's a good
It
question.
is unbelievable.
From what I've got sitting here, I'm answering it for you.
Yes.
It's been freaking killed.
It is way farther ahead I could have possibly ever imagined being at this point. Now, I always thought I was going to be successful, especially once I was able to go out and start doing tastings and things like that, because everybody loved it was sort of the advantage I had over my partner, because he's just sitting around going, there's nothing happening. There's all this money out there and there's nothing happening. What is happening? And I was like, dude, it's going to happen. I can tell. It's like I do these tastings, I sell out the entire inventory of the store in like 2 hours, and everybody loves it. Because you have people walking by, like, you want to try some bourbon, like, no, bourbon, like, well, here, just try it. It's free, like, okay. And they're like, wait, I don't like bourbon. I liked it. And so it was like the bourbon. I mean, obviously, when you talk about uncut, unfiltered like that, that was the bourbon aficionados. But small batch, before we even had the straight, small batch was like, people like, I like Scotch, I don't like bourbon. I'm like, well, you don't like oak, because bourbon's got, or even people that said they didn't like bourbon, and they tell me that the ones they've had, I'm like, well, those are very oaky. Why don't you try this? And I knew, but I didn't know, like, what we're doing now. No, it's never been done before. Like with just Instagram and because thanks to the bourbon community and their support and things like that. Like, no.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Daniel's right. I am a whiskey dork. So, hey.
Nothing wrong with that, man.
Nah, hell, I'll take it and run with it. Hey, I want you to do something for me, Aaron. Tomorrow, I want you to tell Lindsay and Brianna, thank you so much.
Of course.
Because they've been phenomenal in communication and making sure this happens for me and you tonight. And
they do everything. It's unbelievable. Like, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I want to give them a big shout out, because they may not be seen a lot, but their work is definitely noticed. So tell them thank you from Whiskey Nose, Marty and Jenny.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate that. I posted up above, I guess about 5 chats up, is a StreamYard link that is for Livewire Whiskey. So they just started up. That was Mike Stahl that was on a minute ago. So Aaron, if you click on that, you'd go. They would shit their pants if they saw you in the green room.
Where's this link?
It's this one, but you can't click on that. You'll have to type it in, I guess. I guess I could pin it. Well, no. Yeah, you need to. If you jump on there for a few minutes, they wouldn't know what to think. They'd do back handsprings off their tables.
When are they? What tonight?
Yeah, they're on right now.
Oh,
so
I have to eat before I fall over.
Yeah. But
because I'm too long-winded, it won't be them. They'll ask me one question, and 45 minutes will go by. I'm like,
yeah, you better go.
You guys have any other questions? And they're like, no, I think that one we asked was enough.
Yeah. So
a lot of knowledge, a lot of information. It's never a bad thing.
That's right. So, Aaron, thank you so much for your time tonight, man.
Oh, my pleasure, man. Absolutely.
And yeah, I'll stay in touch with you from time to time, and we're going to keep pounding Smoke Wagon, brother, especially right here in
I
Northeast
appreciate
Tennessee.
it. And everybody
Definitely.
that like, sorry, I can't read the comments because I'm old and didn't bring my reading
It's
glasses.
okay, buddy.
But all these blurry things on the right, thank you, all you people who came and watched this. I really appreciate it. I appreciate everyone. It's been an
Yeah.
amazing journey, and I know why it's happening. It's because of all you guys, you know, and it's cool.
Well, man, thanks for taking the time because it
Appreciate
means
you,
a
Aaron.
lot to us, buddy.
You
And
bet.
Independent Joe, thanks, buddy, for taking the time, man.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. I'm sorry we didn't talk that much because
Oh no,
And then
I
my-
was just here soaking it up, listening. It's awesome.
right on.
All
What
right,
part
guys.
of California in?
Go ahead.
Right here in Riverside County.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm always out there in Nevada, so I can't wait till you open up your distillery for tours and stuff. I'll be out there.
Oh, man, I can't either. It's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking forward to the tours, but when we really get to develop that land and turn it into like a tourist destination, it's gonna be pretty awesome. It's 4.5 acres, like right downtown. It's insane.
Nice.
Yeah, that's going to be dude. There'll be lines. I mean, you realize that, right?
I
There'll
just
be
hope
lines.
I want to be
of
able to do
people.
everything. I want to have like a gun range and strippers too,
There'll be 2-3 lines now. So
Yeah.
and a petting zoo for the kids where you can drop the kids off. Some burrows for the kids to ride.
So now there'll be buses of people, you know. Holy shit! Everybody have to show their COVID card. That might thin it out or something. I don't know. All right, guys. Thank you all so much, guys. Like, subscribe to Whiskey Nose. Any questions, comments, prayer requests, hit me up, whiskeynose21@gmail.com. And I'll take care of all that stuff, guys. Congratulations to Leon and Tricia.
Yeah,
Winning the
congratulations.
bottle.
Congrats,
Yeah,
Leon.
that's awesome. Can't wait to
Tricia.
get this in your hands, guys. All right, guys. Cheers, everybody.
Man, thank
Cheers,
you so much.
everybody.
Yeah, Aaron, thank you, buddy. We'll
My
see everybody.
pleasure.
We'll see everybody soon.